how did you go, either of you, how did you go about kind of navigating that to kind of be a good husband and, like you said, a good father? How did you go about kind of like planning that out?
The funny thing for me is I tried to pick up my wife through using the gym because one of the first times I met her, I talk about her extensively in the book too. My wife is amazing. I can't say that enough. And my life would be probably shambles without her. But luckily, she would never let me go down that road because she'd fix me before we ever did. We don't train together now because I'm kind of she doesn't like being told what to do either. And she's smart enough to know that like down there I'd be the expert. So like she does her own thing, Jim's her own way, this, that, and the other. But in terms of the important part of the question, like how do I manage being a good husband? Because that comes first. I just literally put that first. I mean, she puts my lifting on a high level, but she's not scared to tell me like if I need to be somewhere, need to back, need to skip lifting for something. Like I have enough respect where that's what I do. And I was actually just about to tell you a story that I think kind of leads into this about you say a mentor lifters, and he won't mind me saying it because he loves you, he loves me, Tristan Breen. All right. I talk about in the book, and in many ways, the book exists because of him and all because of one story that he told me one day. And he told me with pride, but it like hurt my heart. He's got a young daughter, Hadley. They've become like family to me, a wife, Rachel, who's amazing. And he was talking about like how his daughter was going to have to wait to open her Christmas presents because Christmas fell on squat day and he was going to be training. And like he told it to me with like bravado. Now, at the time I met him at the 2020 WPO like semifinals. He was nothing but potential, great guy, great person, but like he was a lifting fan more than he was like an elite power lifter. He had good numbers, but even with the good numbers, he was sort of like in awe of the people in that room. And when he told me that, I had to like have a serious conversation with him. Like, listen, buddy, the weights will be there. You don't want your daughter to look back thinking, my dad wasn't there on Christmas, or I had to wait for him. And your wife, even though you say she's being supportive, and she is, maybe you should take a step back and be supportive too. Like you can, the one day won't kill you, but your kid not having a Christmas like that might come back and bite you. And to this day, like he almost moved out to Ohio. He was ready to move out with like Hoff and them. And I actually helped him even get a job out here. Like I helped him as much as I could. And once we got him squared away, I said, you're ready to go, but don't do it, man, or do it. But like, I don't think it's right for you. So the end result of this whole long story is he kind of listens to me. He skips the training. He becomes that dad. He stays in Utah where he's at. And now, instead of being like the guy who followed other people, now he's the guy. He's the guy out there building people, and he's the guy whose numbers are ready. And he's, I'll bet money that he squats over 1,000 at his next meet at 242. And he's there. He's ready. And I think a big part of the reason is it's not me. I just sort of pointed him in the right direction. Is how you do anything is how you do everything. He's found that balance and the demons are gone. Like I think a lot of times the people that put their families behind them, like they know. They might not own up to it to themselves, but like, cause I've been there too. I haven't always been perfect. I like to think I've gotten a lot better, but like you can appreciate, like I appreciated what my wife did for me and all, but I don't think I understood it at first until I've sort of come to that understanding later. So when your family's on the back burner, when you're putting your lifting ahead of your health. And once you sort of find that balance, it makes you better, not worse. And I think that's what a lot of people need to realize. Tristan realized it and he's great. And honestly, lifting can go away tomorrow. And if all you had was lifting and it goes away, you got nothing left. If you have your daughter who loves you and remembers her Christmas and your wife who's happy with you and the lifting goes, you got people to fall back on. So long answer
Yeah.
to an easy question, but I treat my wife right because she has always been there and I want her to continue to be there. And I want my family to look at me not just as my dad's a great lifter, although I do think that's cool and I want that to matter. I want them to be like, my dad is an admirable man and I can take his lessons and do whatever the hell I want to do, whether that is lifting like him or owning a business.
My story is a little different here, where I was that guy that vetted everybody I dated immediately by saying powerlifting's first, you'll always be second, vastly. And I had to learn all this the hard way. Let's just put it that way. And the only regret I have through my powerlifting career is how I treated my wife and my kids, because speed bench day was Sunday. There was not an Easter that I was there. because that's when it fell. You know, Christmas sometimes falls on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday. Same type of thing. 4 years, you know, until it was all on the verge of being taken away. Then I realized, way too late, by the way,
Yeah.
and had to fight like hell, you know, to be able to keep the marriage and keep what I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
And it's stronger. I don't want to say because of it, right? But it's stronger,
Yeah.
you know, but I met my wife in the gym, right? So that was kind of, and she did train at Westside for only a couple of years. I mean, she came in really with basic training experience and totaled her elite within a year, you know, and then but, and this was kind of I'm not, Louis said this, but I'm not putting the blame on him. It's me. She trained the night crew. I trained the morning crew. You know, I also never wanted her at any meet ever, because that's my place, you know, and when I look back on it, it's exactly what you said. These are all my issues that I was dealing with, you know, that I thought this was the right thing to do, you know, to keep this separate. So I have my own thing. I get fucking married. I don't have my own. It's our thing.
Yeah, it's forever that way.
Yeah. And then when it's almost taken away, you know, and it's, thank God it was, then you realize, you know, fuck, I got nothing. I don't even have training anymore.
Yeah.
I have competing anymore. I have nothing.
It is amazing the value that almost losing anything gives to the thing that you almost lost. I mean, I just have this conversation. Someone at work, someone thought their pet was dying, and it turned out it was just like a cold.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing was, like, they loved that dog even more than ever because they accepted the fact they were going to have to like put it down. It was the same when I tore my quad. I thought I was done. I was told I was done. It was like, you're never going to squat this again. I was depressed. And then you work your way through it, and then you're on the other side of it. And it's like, yeah, I never got as good as I was, but I didn't have it taken from me. So like, yeah, when you almost lose something and you think of like, shit, like what is my life without it? You realize the value of the relationship, the whatever it is, really quick.
Well, I think that if I was to give the advice is communication.
Yeah.
I mean, real communication, right? Not just hearing what you want to hear, right? But understanding what the other person's trying to say. And then if need be, find the compromise.
Yeah.
Don't just fucking blow it off. Like it's bench day. Like the fucking Easter basket's still going to be there when I get home. It's like not that. And that's how I would frame it. It's just fucking candy and Easter, but it's larger than that, right?
You start to realize,
where if it would have been explained in a different type of way, no, if I would have listened, you know, and then asked deeper questions, like, why do you feel this way? Exactly.
Yeah.
Is this what you really mean? Like, where's this? Because the underlying root of all of it is I was just a dick.
Yeah.
You know, if I wasn't the dick all the time, then that probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But that was the one thing, or that is, it's always icing on the top.
Yeah.
Right. So but it can also be the first layer that you're laying down. You know, if it's that first Christmas, that makes Easter okay.
Yep.
That makes the next Christmas okay. Yeah. And then it makes all of it okay.
Excellence in anything requires like a layer of selfishness inherently. But yeah, you have to decide like when is too much. Like, where do I draw that line? It ain't easy.
Well, I agree with the selfishness, but it also requires a team.
Yeah.
Right. And being selfish is creating the right team around you to be able to help.
Yeah.
Truly being selfish would not be putting those people around you to be able to help. So people look at that like isolationist. Like, if I'm this isolationist, if I'm this monk, I'm going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Sure you are, in your own fucking thoughts.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure all of our thoughts are, a lot of them are negative. Right. So you're going to sit around your own thoughts all day long, and that's going to be better than if you're hanging out with other people and being distracted from your own thoughts. It becomes a weird thing where, so you found yourself with Tristan being in this new place, or now you're the old dude that being to, you know, asking for advice on balance and all this other kind of crap, which I don't know if it even exists. You just are who you are.
Yeah.
Right. And you just maximize every area of what that is. But now you're being inundated with these type of questions outside of how did you build your squat?
Yeah. It's funny how that changed. All the questions I used to get were like, how do you squat like that? How did you transfer from raw to multiply so easily? All these things. And now that I become sort of like the veteran, it turns into like these Tristan moments. I had Matt Magnavita, who was like my young lifter, and I just sort of turned into what I had been chasing. Like I became like coach to me was that guy always. He was a training partner, but like he was like the life coach. He was the one who would talk to me and give me the lessons and impart the wisdom. And I was the one who listened. And now, like, I don't even know how it happened at some point. Like, I just became another version of him, giving his secondhand lessons to a new generation of lifters that I hope someday become another version of me. It's a cycle.
Do you think that would have happened without 1,000-pound squats and 1,000-pound benches?
I don't think so, because I think just much like with coach. So like we talked about it, like I noticed him for something that was important to me. Like I saw that 405 for 10 and I vividly remember it. Without that, I don't think I look at him to be a role model because he's missing a key component, if that makes sense. Like he can be a great guy, but I didn't just want to be a great guy. Like I wanted it all. Like I wanted to be a big, imposing guy. It just so happened he was able to walk that line and have everything. So that's why he appealed to me. Do I think Tristan would have listened to me if my numbers weren't what they were? No, because the reason he came up to talk to me in the first place was because of who I was on the platform. Like he didn't come up to me because I had a family. Matter of fact, I know that. I don't think he cared. He came up to me because of my squat. He came up to me because of my total. That's why he was a fanboy. Sorry, Tristan, but you're a fanboy. I love you. That's what it was. And without that, he doesn't come up to me. And if he doesn't come up to me and we don't sort of develop that relationship, because he told me right from the beginning, like, you're not at all what I expected. Like, and then we had a lot in common. And I think he was able to realize, like, because he's like we do have a lot in common, me and that kid. It's not just the lifting stuff, but like his disabilities and my disabilities are the same. Like his OCD, I have a lot of like, so he can see himself in me, and now he can see himself in me, but he can also see like I have the numbers he wants, but it didn't require me to do the things that he thought it would require. So he kind of like shifted his mentors over from who they were to me. And then he found some success with it. And I think it's like, okay, well, this is the way.
Did he ever tell you what he expected?
What do you expect in the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was expecting me to be like a reincarnation of like Chuck, because Chuck was his original guy. Like he saw the bull ring, the tattoos, the image. And then when he came out to me, he's like, I was almost like nervous. And then you turned around and you're like smiling and giving me a hug. And it's like the first time I met you. And he's like, and I'm like, who, what? This is not. He's like, I was nervous to talk to you. And then all of a sudden we're like instantly friends and you're giving me your phone number. And, it's just not what he had expected.
All right. So now we're in this multiply realm that it becomes interesting over the time that you've been in.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's not the same today as it was then.
Been through some evolutions, especially with like the shirts and all that stuff. Yeah.
It's been through a lot. So you've kind of, on one end, you got to navigate it, but on the other end, you can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
Right. So how have you gone about navigating that landscape just in the past 8 years? Actually, yeah. I'd say 2017, 2018, it started to get weird.
Yeah. And that's about when I started to get good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because 2017 was my first 2,500 total at the Arnold. And then, yeah, I think the band shirts were probably right around like 2020-ish, roughly around then. Yeah. And that put another twist on things. And so I don't know. It's weird because I was the new guy still. Like even the first WPO, like, it came back in 2018 and I knew that was a big deal because I was always a fan of the sport. Even when I like was quote unquote, like anti-multiply, well, there's still pictures of Donnie and Chuck and, those guys on my wall and Ryan Kennelly bleeding from the eyes. Mm-hmm. And so like, I still admired them because that's just who you admired if you liked powerlifting. Like that was the past. So I didn't even get invited to the first WPO until I reached out. So like I was kind of like the new guy navigating all this. So as I made my name, I didn't really know any better. Like I wasn't part of the history, but as it changed, I embraced the change probably better than most because I just figured I had heard stories of like when the band shirts came out, everybody who was in a poly that I knew who had been around for a long time, like, I remember this. This isn't new. This is just like when we switched to poly from canvas and denim. It's just the same thing. And so like, I just kind of rolled with it. I'm like, all right, well, I'm a history teacher and the only thing constant is change. So I'll just roll with it. And I embraced it, but I didn't want to also give up the roots. So to the end, I just competed in both. And that's what I would encourage people to do. Like, band shirts aren't inherently good, bad, or evil. They're just different. If you can acknowledge that they're different, that's fine.
Where's the landscape on that now? Like this year?
So
is it still as divided as it was a few years ago?
I don't know that it's as divided. It's funny because like I embrace them now. I have this feeling like I love the band shirts. I like me and Rob, who's like a pioneer in the band shirt for real. Like that's my boy. We're good friends, and I love his shirts. I just wish more people would learn more components of the sport. I feel like we're starting to see a lot of 1,000-pound bench presses and 700-pound squats. I would like to see that level out some. I think there's some weird things happening there. I wish more multiply lifters would get stronger raw and realize that that stuff is important too, and not just like try and buy a total. I think with these band shirts, the ease of use lends itself to some dangers. You see the broken arms and stuff like that. I would love to see people have more mastery. Like Tony Carlino is like the epitome of he can do it all. I would love to see more Tony Carlinos. Like guy can bench 1,000 in a poly, single ply, multiply, band shirt. Like he can do it all. And because he can do it all, I have more respect for the things that he's done. Like he's a great bencher because it doesn't matter what he's wearing, he's going to be successful. And I wish I could say that about more people because I love the poly, and I think it's such an important skill, and like that difficulty is part of what makes multiply, like the camaraderie of multiply, like so impactful because you don't succeed without help and the learning curve is so long. Like I don't think that's there as much as it used to be. And I kind of think people are going to miss that.
Well, one of the things I really liked when we sat down last time is you'll express what you think is real, right? Where a lot of people kind of won't, right? They'll dance around the edges a little bit. Whereas as an outsider kind of looking in, to powerlifting as a whole, but then multiply is this segment of this whole, I may be wrong because I'm not in it, right? When you're not in it, you really don't know all the components of it. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I was in it for 24 years. You really never know. But what it seems like is, all powerlifting has drama associated with it. If it's federation or personal, right? Personal, whatever, federation, whatever. Nothing's new. It's kind of all the same. But what it seems like in this multiply and unlimited world is we now have more, and it's the smallest piece of the pie. Right? So out of 200,000 lifters that have competed on open powerlifting last year, it's like 1,800. Less than that. Probably multiply is probably less than 1,000. Unlimited gets hard to really know because of the high school powerlifting.
Yeah.
Right. So you really you almost have to export the database and filter them out to be able to know. But it's still probably at most 15% of all competitive powerlifters. They seem to have more federations than any other category.
Yeah.
Right. Which when you look at that from this outsider, it's like, why in the fuck is the smallest? This makes no sense to me.
Yeah. It doesn't fit.
Why is the smallest minority, which should be the most united, right? The smallest group of anything is usually the group that's going to pull together. Right. But it's not. It seems to be more fractured than the other frickin' 85%.
Yeah.
And I don't get it because
I don't either. And I feel like they're tightening up the other 85%, and like
100%.
The bigger meets are getting the bigger competitors. I really thought we were on that direction with the WPO. I was hoping that was going to be like the pinnacle that brought all the best. And it seemed like for a couple of years that it might, but yeah, I wish I had a better answer to that. Ego.
I don't know. I'm trying. It's the things I can just list off that could potentially be there is obviously ego. Money is always going to be the root of everything. But how much money we really talk? I mean, if you own a federation, what are you making, like 50 grand a year? I mean, you're not like making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So that the equipment, the band shirt definitely had this divide. That kind of played into that, and then judging, is kind of
Oh, yeah.
playing into all this, which kind of leads back to, I mean, all of it kind of leads back to whoever is the decision makers, right? Because bad judging at one meet is going to be a reflection on the federation, which is going to be a reflection on whoever's kind of running that. Actually, no, bad judging at one meet is a reflection on the judges, then the meet director, then the federation. I mean, it just kind of works up the chain, but nobody puts the drama on where the blame really should go. It always goes to the person that actually did the lift, which is the nature of all that, but it doesn't fix anything. Where it's when I just disseminate it down, it always goes up to whoever is in charge of whatever organization or federation it is the ultimate responsibility. I mean, that's a scapegoat in politics, right? It's like whoever's in, it doesn't mean that they're the cause, but they're the responsibility, right? And it seems like, and they're like any politician. They don't want to accept blame ever. They, I think that's kind of like taught in politics school.
Oh, of course.
Like
never say
I fucked up. It's kind of like the same thing, but nothing ever gets fixed. But then at the core of all that, the way things get fixed is the people just kind of decide we're done with this shit. And then they take their ball, go somewhere. And that's what's happening. Yeah. But it's like they take the ball to go someplace else, but they haven't defined what the someplace else should be.
Yeah.
So then that gets all fucked up.
And the problems tend to follow them there too, because people will walk away. If they go somewhere else and then they don't like their treatment there, they'll just walk away again. So instead of holding firm, the next federation just sort of does what the previous one did. Just have this continuation.
Define what they want to change. Yeah. Like I said, I don't get it. And you're still barely out, right? I don't want to say you're out because you're going to do a bench meet, but it's full meet you're retired from.
Yeah.
Right. So you're still kind of in that whole thing.
And I got so many lifters that are like in their prime right now that, but like, it's hard to find, like, there's no the meet right now. And I wish they're like, what's the meet where like you want to have a goal to get to. And it's like, if all you got is your personal numbers, it's just not the same. So having things less fractured would be great.
Well, here's some questions for you. Let's just say, let's throw some hypotheticals out. Let's say they banned the band shirt. Would that fix the issues that we see in there?
I think the issues existed before the band shirt, although I do think that enhanced them. I don't think it solves the issues. Maybe if there was a perfect way to keep things separate, I think it would have been a lot easier for people.
Okay.
So I think like if record keeping could be perfect, like it's not open powerlifting's fault either. Like you add this unlimited shirt and the way that they kind of came in, it's like, oh, we'll keep them separate. But now you have like meet directors who have to adjust everything. Like, are you multiply? Are you unlimited? Well, a lot of them just would have equipped, you would check. So now you have band shirt results getting mixed in with multiply results, and that creates animosity because you have the old school lifters who are now mad that they worked hard for their total.
Haven't they resolved that though?
I know for a fact, like I just know I can look in there and find plenty that aren't resolved.
They're not resolved, but
I mean, they have the plan to resolve it, but that's what I mean when I say in a perfect world.
Well, I think so. I mean, if we're looking at open powerlifting, some of those things just are not going to change.
Yeah.
Right. But when you go to enter the meet now, it's different.
It's pretty much different. Yeah.
So it's basically fixed, to be able to push that through, but that's not going to fix the underlying issue.
Yeah.
Because it's already been changed. Right.
Yeah.
So now we take that aside. If the judging was more consistent across all the federations, multiply and unlimited, would that fix the issues that we're seeing?
I think that would definitely fix the issues. If the judging was more consistent, you could get people to adapt to the judging rather than adapt to the meets that have the tough judging.